Earlier on this week, we heard some absolutely awful racist comments from a reform campaigner made against our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Let's remind ourselves of them just now.
When my two daughters have to see and hear reform people who campaign for Nigel Farage calling me an effing it hurts and it makes me angry.
I was quite surprised to hear and see that after Rishi Sunak made that quite powerful speech in a pool clip earlier on this week, that actually not many Conservatives came out to back him. I was racking my brains, rolling through Twitter to see if anyone had come out to defend the Prime Minister, and I had a look and I saw that Suella Braverman yesterday wasn't tweeting about this. Priti Patel yesterday wasn't tweeting about this. Kemi Badenoch yesterday wasn't tweeting about this. And David Cameron yesterday wasn't tweeting about this.
Oh dear.
In fact, the only people to talk about it at all were Michael Gove. James Cleverly, to his credit, retweeted a tweet from Giles Watling, and Steve Baker, as well as Julian Smith, made comments in the Prime Minister's favour. So I'm asking, why is it that so few senior Conservatives have come out to call out that the racist comments that were directed against our first British Asian Prime Minister were absolutely appalling, and to call out Nigel Farage's Reform Party for some of their racist candidates and campaigners? Three of those candidates were in fact had their support withdrawn today because of racist comments they'd made against immigrants. Why isn't the Conservative Party calling this out for what it is? Alex Armstrong.
Well, look, I think it's possibly because the Conservative Party don't want to be seen as hypocrites. Let's not forget that they took Frank Hester's money and didn't apologise for his comments nor return the money. If I were them, I'd probably be pretty quiet about this because you look like you stink of hypocrisy. We could say the same about the Labour Party, who are also standing racist candidates in this election, people who've made racial slurs. The only party that seems to have taken any action is actually Nigel Farage's party, who stood them down in the middle of an election.
Has any candidate, Benjamin, or campaigner that you know of, that we've heard of in the news recently, said something like F-word, P-word about the first British Asian Prime Minister?
No, of course they haven't. And anybody that
On camera, they haven't.
Well, I have absolutely no doubt that they're not saying that behind a camera either, because you have to be a pretty extreme person to use that. I've never heard that said by anybody in my life of any description, so it's not a normal thing that people say about Rishi Sunak. One of the good things about Rishi Sunak is that I think his race and his religion has played very little part in people's perception of him, which I think is a sign of progress in the country.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you know, I saw the Question Time last night, and a member of the audience put it perfectly when Nigel Farage used his excuse, which was, well, look, it's a start-up party, it's hard to check what everyone's saying and thinking and vet them. Well, someone in the audience said, well, hang on, I know lots of people who've started up businesses recently, and weirdly, they've not hired a slew of racists.
Well, is that the audience member that's planted by the BBC by any chance? Because there was at least two of them.
But is it a valid point?
Hang on.
Well, of course it is if it's been planted by the BBC's employees. They're there to read questions out to catch Nigel Farage.
I think, to be fair to Nigel Farage, when he was in UKIP, he was excellent at weeding out these kind of people who will naturally be attracted there. He did the job brilliantly.
There, you hit the nail on the head. Why is it that racists are attracted to Nigel Farage?
I think he has.
Why are racists attracted to the Labour Party? Why are racists attracted to the... Yes, they are. You've got two candidates standing. You've got two candidates standing that have made racial slurs against white people. The Conservative Party have got one of their biggest donors has made racial slurs against Diane Abbott. Let's not pretend that this isn't an issue that affects every party. We'd be doing an injustice to the party.
I want to drink white tears.
Exactly. Can I just be really, really clear about something? This impacts every single party. Reform are actually coming out in the middle of an election saying, we're going to do something about this. Why has the whip been restored to Diane Abbott? Why is a candidate in the Labour Party being allowed to stand still after making slurs? This is ridiculous.
The Reform Party handles issues of race relations better than any other party?
Well, clearly they do, by all factual evidence, by all circumstantial evidence we've presented today. Unless anyone can tell me otherwise.
Candidates who've been
stood down. Absolutely, which is the right thing to do.
Because they were racist.
Those comments were disgusting and they should never be accepted.
Darren, I do just want to ask you a quick question, because there is a lot of talk about the person who made the comments in the Channel 4 expose being an actor and it being some sort of conspiracy theory. What do you make of that?
Look, I think that even on his CV, his actor CV that he puts online, it's easily accessible. It says that he does undercover work, and I just thought, oh, come on. You know, you don't have to be the world's biggest
so just to clarify,
wearer to think that there's something going on here.
Just to clarify,
the BBC audience
no, don't move on. I want to ask you a question.
The BBC audience last night was so stacked with lefties. I wonder if it was put together by him.
Look, Darren, so you think, to make this clear, that Channel 4 and Channel 4 News have risked their entire reputation of 40 years...
Channel 4 News is somewhere to the left of Chairman Mao.
True. Quit the silly comments. You think Channel 4 has risked their entire reputation, a massive financial lawsuit, on planting one man in a 7-minute report on the news?
No, I'm not making that accusation whatsoever.
No, you're not, because you'd get sued if you said it. Because it's just a conspiracy theory.
The production company have done undercover work like this before.
Can I also say...
But you know what? They've never done it to George Galloway's party.
Well, yes.
They've never done it to Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party. They've never done it to the obnoxious elements that exist in this country.
You either think...
Quite right, Darren.
And Labour Party meeting with Angela Rayner in which there was not a single woman in the room. That, to me, is what you would call misogyny.
And also,
where's that work?
Let's paint the bigger picture here. Reform have had to go through a fake Daily Mail headline that the BBC couldn't even corroborate because this quote from Zelensky doesn't exist. No one can find it anywhere. Yeah. They've had to go through. They've had to go through this. Hang on, let me finish. Yes, that's an absolute lie. That headline is a lie. That headline is a lie.
And what you're talking about.
There's a headline from the Daily Mail that says Zelensky basically called Farage a Putin sympathiser, right? Which there is no quote that exists that anywhere to be found. So they've had to go through that. Then they've had to go through this racism claim, which Nigel Farage doesn't have to apologise for. Then they've had to go through a BBC plant, and then they've got to have this undercover thing. There's a collusion by the mainstream media.
Personal responsibilities.
Why is Nigel Farage responsible for what someone else said?
Nigel Farage must be
Rishi Sunak didn't apologise for Frank Hester's comments.
Cammy Badenoch did.
Right.
Well, she's not the Prime Minister.
We'll leave that one there. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm going to read out this statement from Channel 4 themselves. They say, "We strongly stand by our rigorous and duly impartial journalism, which speaks for itself. We met Mr Parker for the first time at Reform UK's headquarters, where he was a Reform Party canvasser. We did not pay the Reform UK canvasser or anyone else in this report. Mr Parker was not known to Channel 4 News and was filmed covertly via the undercover operation."